Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the latest episode of The Last Word. And the purpose of this show, in case you're new, is to provide you with market intelligence by me interviewing intelligent people. And that's what we're going to do today. And today I'm excited to have with me somebody who's been in this industry a long time, has touched just about every aspect of the industry, and has really interesting ideas on where we are, where we were, where we're going, and smart ways to get there. So I'm talking to Lori Friedlander today. Lori, good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Ray. I'm good. Thanks. So happy to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you. So, just in case, for those who may not know you, just give us kind of the snapshot version of what you've done in the industry and what different parts of the business you've influenced.
Absolutely. I have a degree in interior design. Shortly after college, I worked for Ethan Allen corporate headquarters up in Danbury. I was a designer in their store planning department. And that's really where I got the foundation of my merchandising strategies and philosophy on merchandising. Um, the way that Ethan Allen does their store planning, being a vertically integrated company, they look at it from a manufacturer as well as a retailer side. So it was an excellent experience of kind of looking at store design and store planning from both sides. After Ethan Allen, I spent some time as a residential interior designer. And then when I left to raise my family, have my son, and then when my son was old enough to go back to school and I was ready to really focus on my career again I went back to Ethan Allen, because when I was originally at Ethan Allen, they weren't the most fashion forward company on the block.
Hmm.
And during my time away, I kept an eye on them. You know, they were still like family to me. And I watched how they were growing, and I watched how they went from, colonial antique pine furniture to, really fashion forward, design oriented. So I called them up and I said, hey, I'd love to come back. And they said, hey, we'd love to have you. We don't have a store planning opportunity, but we do have an opportunity in merchandising. And I said, fantastic. And I went back as an associate merchant in their upholstery product development. And I worked with fabric vendors developing the fabric line. I worked with upholstery designers in the manufacturing plant in North Carolina, assisting in developing products. And then I was promoted to full merchant, and I was responsible for area rugs and soft goods. And how Ethan Allen approaches product development is really interesting. We did it as everything that we developed um, had the end use of being in the store. So again, that, the vertical integration mentality. So every product that we developed was highly curated, and we knew exactly where it was going in the store and exactly who the end user was going to be. And we did it as a team. So we started by going to the European trade shows. We'd get a sense of what the trends were. We'd come back to Danbury. We had this huge war room. And as a team, we would, lay out photos and, okay, this is the case goods we want to develop. This is the upholstery, the area rugs, the wall decor. These are the colors. This is the consumer we're going after. Okay, go do it. And then you were sent off as the merchant. And being that I did area rugs and soft goods, I would work with our factories in India and China, Nepal, Belgium, Egypt, domestic, and developed the area rug product and developments. So that really helped to build on my merchandising philosophy and really gave me a strong foundation for the whole lifestyle merchandising concept. From there, I went to Lazy Boy. I worked for their retail division. They really loved my Ethan Allen background, and they really wanted some help with branding their stores. So when I came on board, if you went to a store in Chicago, it didn't look like a store in Florida. And then basically I got it so that the consumer had the same experience, whether they were in New England, Chicago, Florida, it was all the same experience. Then I left the industry for a little bit, had a flower shop. I wasn't supposed, long story, I wasn't supposed to be there, but anyway, but what I learned at the flower shop, in the flower shop business, is most flower shops don't do their own branding. they join one of the, the large FTDs or the telefloras, and they're completely dictated. They're dictated what they're going to sell, what they're going to buy for their cooler, what hard goods they're going to sell, what they're going to pay for them, what they're going to sell them at. No, there was no negotiating. And I thought, this is the worst business model I've ever seen. I mean, the margins were ridiculously low. So I broke away and I created my own website, created my own designs, had great margins. I won a design for my store. I was featured in magazines. I was blog contributors, and I did well. For something I didn't want to do, I actually did well, but it was not my passion. Totally was not my passion. So at that point, I decided I really like retail and I wanted to get back into the home furnishings industry. So I went to work for Bassett, and I was a store manager with Bassett. And then from there, I worked with different independent retailers, doing sales managing and buying, merchandising. And when I was doing buying and going to market and talking to, you go to the cocktail parties, you talk to other buyers, you talk to other merchants, you kind of, talk about what you're doing, what you've seen, yada, yada. And talking to people, I realized a lot of people don't even know what a merchandising strategy is. And when I would tell them about what I'm doing, they looked at me like I was genius. And I was like, you mean everybody's not doing this? Like, it was so second nature to me. And I really contribute that to my Ethan Allen background. And then, and a lot of the manufacturers, I went into their showrooms and I was like, gosh, they could use some help with some branding and their, assortment help, and, maybe some sales training on how the reps can work better with buyers. And all these thoughts were going through my mind. And I was like, I don't think there's too many people out there doing that. And I just really wanted to bring that knowledge to the industry. So I decided to start my own consulting business, which is what I'm doing now.
Excellent. So in all your tenure, over the years, on all sides of the industry, if you had to identify a couple of ways the industry has changed since when you first got in, what are the big fundamental shifts that you're seeing?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, quite a few. Although a lot stays the same too, right? When I first started, it was a lot of mom and pop and independents and not too many large. And I think that's true for most of retail. I don't think that's just something that is just in the home furnishings industry, but there are a lot more independent and small players. I also think, clearly online and the internet has changed. But I actually think that's really good for brick and mortar. And the reason why I think that is, when someone's walking in your door now, we know that if not everyone, I don't know if I'll go that far, but most people have done some homework before coming in your store. So that if they walk into your store, they have made the decision that you sell something that they want. So I think what it has created is a situation where people are pre-qualified walking into your door. So I think that's a good thing. The other thing I think that the other changes I think I've seen are the alleged disruptors, right? So I can remember when I first started, they had the buy direct from North Carolina ads in the back of the shelter magazines, and that was, everyone thought, oh, this is the end, we're brick and mortars, going down the tubes, everyone's gonna, buy from the ads in the back of the magazines, and that didn't happen. And then I remember when furniture.com first hit the scene. That's when I was at Ethan Allen as a merchant. Everybody thought that was the end of brick and mortar. I mean, I know personally, I was, called many times by lots of recruiters trying to get me to furniture.com. And we lost quite a few people at Ethan Allen because that was the word on the street that furniture.com, Ethan Allen was going to go out of business because furniture.com was going to take them over. And then of course now we have the Wayfarers and the Overstocks and all of that. And, and I'm sure, that's, changing the industry and changing how we have to do business, and technology is changing how we have to do business. So yeah, But the thing
Yeah,
that's the same is brick and mortar is still here.
exactly. And would you agree, disagree, or no opinion that um, the online, the preponderance of online and the availability of all the product information and pictures and everything has really, in a sense, um, I think, opened the market up, showed the average homeowner how much stuff is actually out there. I mean, you and I
Exactly.
get to go to market and we
Yeah.
see everything. And I always walk around market saying, I wonder what the furniture consumer would think if we could bring them to market for one
Yeah.
and just see how much is out here. So I think the online and the technology in a way has been good for the segment. So talk to
Totally
me
agree.
where I see us right now. I think the economy is tough. People are worried. There's big debates: recession, no recession.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is costing more: groceries, gasoline, utilities,
Yep.
and we are a postponable, high-ticket item that typically is bought with discretionary dollars. So, with your tools in the tool bag and your ideas, what could this industry be doing to jumpstart or stimulate sales when the market is not overly robust or the
Well,
economy?
I mean, it's not, we, we do need furniture. I mean, there are, people moving into new homes, not literally new, like new to them, doesn't that, even if new home sales are down, people are still moving into what's new to them homes. Um, so, I think we have to remember that. Um, and what I think what what we need to do as an industry is keep up with the times, and especially now, with the way it's changing so quickly with AI and everything that's going on. We need to keep up with the times, and I think as long as we're keeping up with the times, we can offer a better experience to the customer than what they can get shopping online.
That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. Now I know you and I have talked in the past, and you're a big proponent of lifestyle merchandising,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
And do
absolutely.
you do you think it's being done enough? Give me your definition of what it
Yeah.
is in the perfect world. And when you go to the stores, where do you see it lacking? And what recommendations would you have to fix it?
Yeah. So lifestyle merchandising is about tapping into your emotions and buying, uh getting customers to buy their dream, like you've gotten into their psyche. You're not looking at just their demographics, you're looking at their psychographics. And you are every vignette in your store needs to ask the question, who lives here? Who is buying this? And I don't think I don't know too many, I have not seen too many furniture stores that are doing it. Um, I forgot your question.
All right. Well, let me stop you for a second. Go back. Give me
Oh,
your definition of psychographic.
psychographics is more, what are their interests? What is their lifestyle? What are their
Exactly.
buying habits? So I'll give you a great example. I actually just wrote a blog post for Home Furnishings Association on this topic, and I use this example in the blog post. Let's say you have a vignette. You have two vignettes on the store, and they're both mid-century modern. And from your customer buying habits, that mid-century modern, you have retired couples buying mid-century modern, and you have starter families buying it. Two completely different lifestyles. So you might say, okay, well, if I'm looking strictly at the demographics, okay, maybe I have a mid-high end store. I know the price point is going to be the same. um so for lifestyle merchandising, maybe for the retired couple, well, let's start with the young family. The young family, maybe you're going to use performance fabrics because they have kids. Maybe you're going to put some game props on the table because that's how they use that room because they're a family. I would literally put pictures of families and photo frames on the tables, so that when someone sits down in this vignette, they feel like they're at home. This is my home. And then when I'm doing it for the retirees, maybe this is where I splurge and I don't put the performance fabric because it's not quite as important. Their kids are gone. This is me time. I'm going to buy what I want.
Right.
This is where I'm going to splurge a little. I'm going to put the fabric that's, I'm not as concerned performance and more about look. Instead of a game on the table, I'm going to put a wine decanter. Instead of photos of family, I'm going to put photos of a retired couple traveling and having a great time. And it's really important that you look at all those details. You can't put something that's not mid-century modern in feeling, that doesn't appeal to a young family. It literally, everything about that vignette has to speak who's buying this, who's living in this room. But where you need to take it a step further, and this is where you start getting into the psychographics, is, okay, let's say you put these two vignettes on the floor and, the price point is the same, the styling is very similar, and, there's really nothing else that differentiates them. And then maybe you have some printed POP on the table that, talks about, well, let's pretend we have performance fabrics on both for this example. So you have the POP, and this is a special order sofa that's going to take them, well, let's not talk about let's say it's going to take them 16 weeks to get. And the millennial family is coming in and they're seeing it and they're sitting in it and everything looks great, but they're leaving. And then the retiree couple is, sitting in it, loving it and buying. And you're like, what did I do wrong? I merchandise this for the millennial couple. Why aren't they buying it? Well, what you didn't take into consideration is two things. Millennials love technology. So maybe instead of putting a printout POP in that vignette, it should have been something digital that they could have looked at digitally. And then also, millennials don't want to wait 16 weeks. So you had the wrong product. So maybe in that vignette, you put the same style, but instead of it taking 16 weeks, you got something that hopefully you even have in stock, even better. And then you give them some digital tools to play with. Now they're going to stay. Now you've got their interest. So that's kind of, where you kind of start that's where you're going away from demographics and really getting into the psychographics.
All right. Along the same lines, one of the things you hear is, and to your point, you're suggesting that they do their homework online or in magazines or somewhere outside the store. So your premise is when they walk into Ray's Furniture, if I don't sell them, I'm a schmuck because I lost an opportunity. They're basically ready to buy. What would you do to say, what advice would you have for me as a retailer if I said to you, Lori, how do I keep people, not only get them in the store, how do I keep them in the store longer?
Yeah.
What would you advise me to do?
So I would definitely have that lifestyle merchandising concept in place. But in addition to that, you need to make it an experiential experience. It really has to be, they need to walk into your store and not feel like I am just looking to sell you. They need to walk into the store and feel like I am here. People buy from people who they, like, right? So I am here to help. We are here to help you, which leads me to one of the worst things that we do in furniture stores is when a customer walks in the store, the first thing we say is, how can I help you? I mean, it's just so salesy sounding. You need to have a conversation. And your store needs to be fun. It needs to feel like part of the community. If you have the opportunity to have have some employees park in the front, so that the store looks lively and active, hold events and, change it up, have reasons for them to come back. And speak to them, because that's what lifestyle merchandising does. It speaks to them and it makes them say, oh, this gets me. I like this. I want to take this home.
Good. Earlier you were talking about your days as owning a florist shop and
Mm-hmm.
bucking the trend of being like locked into kind of pre-themed everything.
Yeah.
Knowing what you learned there, what advice do you have for smaller retailers in a tough
Yeah.
environment?
Yeah.
Talk to me about the small retailer.
Yeah. So you need to, don't even try to compete with the big guys. You're just going to lose on every, you're not going to be able to buy at the same price at them. You're not going to be able to make your margins. You're not going to be able to control what you sell. And what's your differentiator? Why are customers coming to you? I think small stores really kind of have to have a boutique mentality. They need to offer something that you can't find at the big stores, which is it's kind of is a twofold advantage. Not only are they more interesting, right? They have something that someone hasn't seen anywhere else. And because they haven't seen it anywhere else, you're not going to open yourself up to price shopping, because they can't say, I saw that down at the, big guy XYZ over there, and they had it for $500 less, because they don't have it. And then not only that, now you can control your margins. So you can dictate what price it is. And, and if you buy right, you buy something that has, incredible perceived value, and you are marking it way up, and, you're making really good, healthy margins. I think that's how smaller stores can compete with the bigger stores.
All right, now let me ask you that. This is kind of a impossible question, so I'm putting you on the
Oh,
hot
no.
seat. But you're quick on your feet. I know you can help me with it. So I'm a furniture retailer, and I'm a small retailer, and I talk to you, and you say, you need to have a point of view. You need to know what your DNA is and communicate that. If I'm clueless, which very likely I could be a great businessman, but really a lousy merchandiser, or not a creative person in terms of visuals. How could a retailer go about, like, finding their story to tell? What
Yeah.
advice would you have?
Hire me. No.
Okay. You're hired.
Just hire me. You know, you, what is your personal passion, right? Like, what is your why did you get into this business? And I think when you have a really strong why and you can show that, people are drawn to it. So I think you need to know your why, and not try to be everything to everyone. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They're too afraid that, oh, but what if someone comes in here, and they were looking for a $9.99 sofa, and I only had X, Y, don't be afraid of that. Know who your niche is, know who you're targeting, and target and talk to them, and that's the story that you're going to tell over and over again.
Good. It's a good point. That's a good answer. You hear a lot of talk in the industry about, my God, we need younger people coming in. We're
Yeah.
aging out.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas you might have on how this industry could attract bright young people, not only attract, but retain them?
Yeah.
What could we do
Actually,
better?
well, I think work-life balance is huge. And I do believe that there is a way to have hybrid salespeople, especially if they're designer salespeople, because during the week there's a lot of downtime. I mean, many stores are overstaffed during the week. And hey, there's a lot of paperwork, and there's a lot of desk work that's involved in doing this, especially when you're a designer salesperson. So let them work from home those days. I mean, that would go a long way to making someone feel like they have work-life balance. I also think, again, technology. There's a lot of great technology out there, and there's a lot of great technology that a lot of furniture retailers aren't using and taking advantage of. And I think that's really important. You need to get there. And then the other thing, and we're talking about millennials here. Millennials are really big about being socially conscious, and they want to be listened. They want to listen to, heard, respected, and they want to know your why. They want to know, why did you open the store? What is the impact that you wanted to make? Like, they're very conscious about the world at large, and they want to know what you think, and they want you to ask them what they think, and they want you to listen, and they want to feel heard. And if you can tap into that, I think if you can tap into all of those, you should be able to attract and retain them.
That's a great answer. In a broader sense, I'm hearing, without you using the T word, it sounded like we could do a better job being transparent with young kids as they come in. Tell them who we are, tell them what our expectations of them, but ask them who they are, why they want to be here. Just really communicate, right? I mean,
Absolutely. And and if they have a good suggestion, implement it. They really want to be a part of it.
excellent. All right. Well, you know what? We try to keep these within, 25 minutes. We're coming up to that point already. It went quick. We had so much more to talk about. I want you to tell me a little bit about your company now and what you're offering, and tell me the name of your website and how people can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I'm offering is consulting services to retailers and manufacturers as well in the home furniture and home furnishings industry. So, for retailers, it could be something like, maybe you need someone to come in and do a merchandising audit. Maybe you love the concept of lifestyle merchandising, but you don't know where to begin. Maybe you're one of the buyers that I've met at market who doesn't know how to, market can and should be very strategic. You should be able to walk into a showroom and be like, nope, 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 yes. And, and do that with real confidence. And that can be achieved. So, maybe retailer wants some strategic market planning help. On the manufacturer side, maybe someone needs some help with branding. They need assortment analysis and some help with strategy. Maybe they're like, gosh, our sales team just, they just get hung up on by buyers, and they need some help, relating to buyers. Having been one, I can definitely help with that. Maybe I see a lot of, unfortunately, product photography that really could use a little boost. So, maybe some help with product photography styling. And anything in the sales, design, and merchandising realm that any manufacturer or retailer needs help with, I'd love to chat. Maybe it's something that's in my wheelhouse, maybe it's not. The best way to reach me would probably be my website, which is furniahome.com. So FURNIA home.com. And there's a little contact button you can click, and just tell me what you're looking to do, and let's see if we can work together.
All right, awesome. Well, this has been delightful, and I don't call this show the last word for nothing, because when I was running news, trade papers, I always wrote a column and I had the last word. But now you get the last word. So, any last thought you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, the saying, you always get what you always got. If you always did, or you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. Make some, embrace the changes, embrace the technology, and embrace it. It's not your competition. It's there to help you.
Sounds good. Lori, thank you so much for your time. As always,
thank you, Ray. Yeah.
Intelligent and enjoyable.
Thank you.
I hope to see you soon.
Ray. Yep, for sure. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.